Alright, so first things first, Godzilla Jeopardy dropping on the channel in about 2.5 hours, noon Eastern Time, 9 a.m. Pacific Time. Did it with Shin Robjura, Mike's Monsters, D-Man, and Kyle Wadiga from Super 7, so be sure to check that out in just a couple of hours, not too much longer. There are a couple of Hiya releases that I missed last night because nobody really seemed to be taking any photos of them. But they're definitely worth talking about because they're exciting and they have a few implications behind them as well. So first of all, we have a heat ray version of Godzilla 2014. I don't think that this is surprising anybody. I think when they first unveiled Godzilla 2014, we all expected that there was going to be a heat ray version. Judging by the beam down here, this looks to be the same one that came with the Godzilla 21 mold. So presumably it will have a similar head sculpt to that figure as well. But if you take a look here, that zoom in was kind of weird. But if you take a look at the tag, it says Heat Ray Godzilla translucent version, which is interesting because it seems like they're going to be taking the same approach that they took with the Godzilla vs. Kong one, where they will offer a painted version of the Heat Ray and a translucent version of the Heat Ray. Now, funny enough, if you look at the spines here on Godzilla, this looks much more like the painted version of the GVK figure than the translucent version. So I'm wondering if this was the wrong tag. It seems like a decent mistake. But it does look like they will offer two options for the heat ray version of Godzilla 2014. I didn't really care too much about the painted version of the G21 figure, but the translucent version really spoke to me, and I have it on my shelf. I really like how that figure looks, and I think it's really cool that they're offering these options to people. So I'm sure at some point we will see the translucent version, maybe in New York Comic-Con. But now the big thing that we missed is a brand new line under the Monsterverse from Hiya Toys. Here we have the Heat Ray Godzilla Ultimate version from Godzilla vs. Kong. So it's looking like this thing is going to come in at about 8 inches tall, which puts it at the same scale as Super 7's Ultimate figures. And as you can see here, it's the Heat Ray version. He's got the normal spines. He's got the Atomic Blast, or I guess Heat Ray down here. He's got cuts halfway down the arm, so he's got like a double jointed elbow system. But maybe the biggest thing here is you can see there's a cut in the back where it appears that the spines pop off. Now, presumably, if it is a Ultimate Heat Ray Godzilla, then his spines would be blue. So I'm not sure if the spines pop off and are interchangeable, and I don't think that would make sense because you would have to then pop off the spines the whole way down the tail, right? Because Legendary Godzilla's whole back lights up, whereas things like Heisei Godzilla, they don't light up the whole way. So, yeah, I'm not sure if this is going to be an interchangeable back plate. The next leading theory is that this pops off so that you can access like an LED array that the spines will actually light up, similar to the big Monster Arts one and the even bigger Mezco one. So this is very interesting. I'm curious to hear more. I'm sure that this will be a big seller for Hiya because Godzilla sells very well. It's going to be a pass for me just because I don't have the room. I don't have the capacity to start collecting another line, especially one that's bigger at the 8-inch mark. But very curious to see this. I don't think I've seen any Ultimate versions in other lines from Hiya Toys. So I'm very curious to hear more. I think Michael from the Articulation series is going to be chatting with them at some point during Comic-Con, and very curious to hear more and to see what they have to say. The last thing I wanted to touch on is that the sculptor for Hiya is actually on Twitter, the handle at EdenBuster, and they shared this update that there's actually a head sculpt. There was a head sculpt plan for their GXK Kong that apparently due to copyright issues will no longer be included. So here is the planned yet canceled head sculpt sitting on the Monster Arts Kong body mold here. So it actually looks, the head sculpt doesn't look disproportionate too badly, considering that they are in different scales. But it is interesting to see that there is a head sculpt that is being left off the table. Granted, at the display at Comic-Con, we are seeing Kong come with 3 head sculpts. I think, well, there's 1 neutral and then 2 rather aggressive ones. I'm willing to bet that this is a head sculpt that would come with the Beast Glove version, because it looks like the one that's on display is not going to come with the Beast Glove. And the one on display does not have the artificial tooth. So I doubt that they're going to be adding the Beast Glove to that figure. I think that they're going to save it for a separate release, and I think that they're going to include this head sculpt and probably a couple more, just to sweeten the pot a little bit. So, yeah, follow Eden Buster on Twitter if you have Twitter. You can get updates straight from the sculptor themselves. And Hiya's continuing to sleep. Here's the Stylus series statue of Godzilla Evolved, similar to the Shimo that was just shown off. Yeah, I mean, like, Hiya already won last night. Now more of this stuff is coming out. They're just still winning. They're just still winning. Oof. Wow. Yeah. I think once this Comic-Con has wrapped up, I need to, like, take some time to process everything that's been coming out in just the first night of Comic-Con, and maybe put out a video discussing my thoughts on just, like, the situation that we're in. Like, it's a great time to be a Godzilla fan, but it sure is an expensive time. So that's gonna be it for me. Remember, Jeopardy coming in a couple hours. Stay tuned. It's a great video. It's a lot of fun. Had a lot of fun recording it. So yeah, Comic-Con coverage will continue on this channel. And until next time, I'll see you later.